Good evening and welcome to the May 12th Council meeting. Members of the public were provided with the following methods to watch and or participate in this open meeting. You can attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex in Malta. Attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can also watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. Written submissions and comments that were given to the Clerk's Division have been provided to council members and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other, and give other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and public with respect and understanding, and inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together, we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave. I'd now like to call the meeting to order. Councilor Rowland.
Madam Mayor, I have a conflict of interest with item 2, subsection 2, and item 12.
Thank you. Councilor Austin.
I also have a conflict of interest for item 2 and possibly 12.
Thank you. Item 2 is moved by Councilor Rowland, who will not be that. Councilor Rhodes, will you do that, please?
Made by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilly, that council adopt the May 12, 2025 council agenda as presented with the following amendment. The agenda item 11.2.1 report number C80-11-2025 overview township transit strategy, Grand River Transit business plan be moved forward to be considered in association with agenda item 7.1 presentations. And 2, the agenda item 12, mayor and council report item be amended to add a new resolution from Councilor Tilly concerning the Air Community Center ACC and funding related to the NDCC Twin Pad project.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Can someone go and bring them back in?
David pledging the chair. Thanks, Sally.
You didn't even have time to get coffee, guys.
No, they were going last time.
Maybe the next
Walked in, they were
time.
full man.
I'd now like to read an individual acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Shakopee people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our communities. We offer this acknowledgement as a path of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And as we contemplate this, we must embrace what we've learned in the last few years, but I think it has been a positive growth for all of us. And it's been a wonderful journey to go on and to have our eyes open or reminded of the greatness of this land that we live upon and who we share with. And as we move forward with respect, we can only become stronger and better. So let's stop and reflect on it. Thank you. I won't call for the disclosure of pecuniary interest because unless there is any up, saying no others, thank you. Any members of council, okay, adoption of council minutes, please, Councilor Tilly.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Wilms, that council approve the following meeting minutes. 6.1 council meeting minutes dated April 28, 2025. 6.2 public planning council meeting minutes dated April 29, 2025.
All those in favor? Yeah, thank you. And now with a little drama, we have Doug Spooner coming to the podium to present. Acting Commissioner of Transportation Services and Kevin Marshall, Manager of Transit Development with Provincial Waterloo regarding the Grand River Transit 10-year business plan information update. Welcome, Doug. Welcome. Can you move it up a bit for me, maybe? There you go. Isn't that fancy?
I can adjust that. Council, thank you for having Kevin and I here this evening. We're very excited to talk to you about the work that we've been doing along with your team about delivering transit in the near future to North Dumfries in a greater capacity than we've done today. So Kevin's going to run you through a quick presentation. We'll both be available for questions after. And then I know there's a staff report with a number of motions of which we reviewed and we are in absence. So, Kevin, thanks.
You can click away from that.
Click
Yeah.
away.
Yep.
Right. Here. Thank you very much. My name is Kevin Marshall. I'm the manager of transit development. And on behalf of GRT, thank you for the opportunity to present today and for working together to help make sustainable transportation the easy choice for more people across Waterloo region. Over the next 10 minutes, I will walk you through the different sections of GRT's business plan and the proposed transit investment priorities that will help increase speed and reliability, serve new areas, and make transit easier to use for communities across the region. First, I wanted to take a step back and reflect on GRT's past 25 years and the transformative impact sustained investment in transit services has had on our community. For example, in 1999, you couldn't get a city bus between Cambridge and Kitchener-Waterloo. And 25 years later, I'm here to share GRT's first business plan since the successful launch of Ion Bus and Light Rail, record-setting ridership, and strong public support for GRT to connect people, jobs, and homes across the area municipalities across Waterloo region. GRT's business plan responds to the region's projected population growth and transit priorities identified through the region's strategic plan, recent budget consultations, and projects with our area municipal partners. Ultimately, the GRT business plan will provide a roadmap for staff as we prepare transit investment proposals for the next 10 years and beyond. Our guiding principles when we shaped this plan informed all of our public and planning engagement efforts and focused on asking how we can make transit the easy first choice for more people across Waterloo region. We did this to better understand how we can improve the idea of transit freedom, which is the concept that useful transit improves where you can go, what you can do in a 1-hour transit trips. So you have more time back in your day to do the things you want to do instead of trying to get where you need to go. The plan's strategic focus areas, the bottom here, frequency, speed, customer focus, new coverage, and simple intuitive network inform all the discussions and the transit investment priorities I'll present shortly. There are 3 main parts to the GRT business plan, which are supported by a new technology and fare strategy. There's the conventional bus and train business plan, something like our core network. Then we have the Mobility Plus and Qantas Transit Specialized Transit Plan, and then the Township Transit Strategy, which I'll highlight tonight alongside the other pieces. Each part of the plan has been tailored based on thoughtful region-wide engagement. So throughout the summer and fall, GRT reached out to riders, residents, partners, and staff to hear from everyone on their transit investment priorities and ideas. So our focus was on connecting with riders and residents from across every community. So first, we heard from more than 2,000 people that we connected through station outreach and bus ride-alongs and neighborhood events and online virtual sessions. But we also built out a robust contributor network. So that shown in this diagram here, which we consulted with on multiple occasions and helped to amplify our public engagement opportunities within their networks. Our consultation for the Township Transit Strategy focused on virtual and in-person open houses and community destinations across each township, in addition to some of these events I talked about here. We also worked really closely with the area municipalities on some of the joint projects we already have underway. So for example, we worked with Waterloo Region Economic Development Strategies team to help hear local needs for economic resiliency across all area municipalities. We also partnered, this is pretty unique, with our public health team, which provides information and health resources to the underserved neighborhoods across Waterloo region using a neighborhood bus. So we joined their outreach in every municipality to hear from new voices and ideas for GRT. Several common themes emerged from our engagement, which supported comments heard throughout the development of the region's strategic plan and public feedback during recent budget consultations. This included better frequency and all-day schedules across the network, reflecting our shift away from a 9-to-5 community, opportunities to speed up transit, particularly between the cities, but also new connections to the townships, expansion to new and growing areas of the region, and to make transit affordable for those who need it most. Some important themes to highlight for today's discussion include improving stop accessibility, so which we're happy to share has been accelerated through the region's recent budget approvals, and enthusiasm for improved and new township transit options. So not just for township residents, but also for city residents that want to connect and access rural destinations, which demonstrates the value of this region-wide transit network we're developing here. For our transit investment priorities, I'll walk you through each part of these. Combined, they will make transit the easy choice by significantly expanding the service area of GRT, improving our travel times, and better connecting communities across Waterloo. First, for our bus and train priorities, which help us achieve those strategic focus areas I mentioned earlier that were identified by riders, key contributors, area municipal partners, and GRT in the region. So these include increasing frequency to 10 minutes on weekdays on 16 routes in Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo, adding trips to make schedules more intuitive and reflect our shift away from a 9-to-5 community, introducing rapid highway services to give riders up to 20 minutes back in their day, expanding the service by bringing new routes to growing industrial areas and residential communities in Cambridge, Southwest Kitchener, and North Waterloo, launching more late night service and introducing 24/7 services on key routes to support shift workers, students, and core areas. Key priorities for our Mobility Plus and Kiwanis Transit Plan include meeting the demand for Mobility Plus services and targeting no unmet trips with new staff, modern technologies, and a bigger fleet. We're extending mobility service hours in coordination with GRT's overnight service expansion and enhancing the Mobility Plus customer experience. GRT has also developed a township transit strategy that responds to requests for better access to and from rural destinations among township and city residents, while also recognizing each township's unique community character. The goal is to provide residents with better access to essential services and employment opportunities. So the future township transit network includes enhancements to existing fixed routes in Wilmot and Woolwich. We're looking at future fixed routes for North Dumfries and Wellesley to connect to GRT's core network. We're also excited to introduce a new fixed route service to Breslau and the region of Waterloo International Airport that connects to GO services at both Sports World Station and Kitchener Central Station. And finally, to introduce on-demand transit zones, including exploring commingling of our services in each township to expand GRT's rural service area. So combined, our township transit strategy and the priorities I've described here today dramatically expand the service area of GRT to nearly all of Waterloo region. GRT also has a fare strategy focused on diversifying revenues, supporting service improvements, and promoting affordable access for those who need it most by providing support to families and caregivers with the introduction of free transit for children 12 years and under, enhancing GRT's affordable transit program to provide bigger discounts to those with the greatest financial need, matching future fare increases to annual service expansion, inflation, and comparable transit systems, and supporting our local workforce by expanding business account programming options with GRT's new mobile app, GRT Pay. The transit priorities I've discussed here today are part of an important upstream strategy to grow with care and unlock tremendous potential benefits for Waterloo region. So for example, approximately 400,000 people and 200,000 jobs today are within the 800 meters of the proposed frequent transit network I described earlier. We have new coverage proposed for Southeast Cambridge, residential communities, Cambridge industrial areas, Southwest Kitchener, and North Waterloo. And we have transit options proposed for every township. Compared to today, we improved the idea of transit freedom across the region. So the average rider can reach about 38,000 more people and 15,000 more jobs within a 1-hour transit trip. Commuters can also save over 20 minutes for Cambridge to Waterloo trips. And overall, transit trips become more competitive and more affordable compared to cars or rideshare. So this is so important during an affordability crisis. Our future transit network can save people from needing to buy and maintain a second car. This plan can help unlock over $1,000 in monthly income that would otherwise be trapped in car ownership and maintenance costs. So good transit means more people have more money left in their pocket to live their lives. The GRT business plan is also part of our playbook to better work with each municipality to achieve our shared priorities for sustainable transportation. So the transit supportive policies and programs in regional and area municipal land use and transportation plans are really critical to maximize the potential ridership benefits of GRT's business plan and the priorities described here today, and ultimately help us meet our shared goals for a livable community. So the pun is intended. Next stops, staff have provided an information update to regional council and are sharing today's presentation at every interested municipal council. And GRT will be seeking Regional Council's endorsement of the plan later this spring, starting our June meeting. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share tonight. We're happy to answer any questions.
I'm gonna pick your brains. Would you explain the roads in the township of North Dumfries, please?
Through you, Chair. Thank you for the question. I think it's an interesting one, and from the presentation, it might not have been apparent. So let's talk a little bit about implementation in North Dumfries. So obviously, when we proposed the plan, we looked at the future state of the network, and we believe the future state in North Dumfries includes two major components. One of them are two on-demand zones. So two zones where you can travel within, pick up rides, move into Cambridge if you like, or between each other, along with, for lack of a better word, a big bus to air. That is not the starting position. So the starting position is really informed by the needs here now, and two different pieces of consultation. So the first is talking to residents of North Dumfries. And Sue, I've joked with you. I didn't realize how many people wanted to visit the animal hospital in Ayr. It became one of the major drivers of people wanting to come visit, along with other things to do in North Dumfries. The other one in talking with staff is the business park and making sure that we've got services into the business park and really supporting economic growth. Along with the fiscal responsibility of delivering transit. As you can appreciate, a transit vehicle of any type, you're between $100 and $110 an hour, $2 a minute, and those numbers move quickly as you add vehicles. And also working to establish a transit culture. Kevin spoke about 25 years ago, and I hope in 25 years, when we talk about bus connections between North Dumfries and Cambridge, it sounds as odd as not having connections between Cambridge and Kitchener. But we've got to build that. When Kevin talked about not needing a second car, people don't do that the next day, right? So we've got to establish transit, we need people to use it, realize its reliability and depend on it, and we keep delivering, and then those decisions become easier. So again, back to implementation, what it will likely look like, and that you'll note in the staff report, it's asking for Kevin and I to return in the fall and talk to you again about what year one could look like. And so we think year one looks like a single on-demand zone. We'll make a decision on the number of vehicles because that'll be the major driver of cost. And we've also got a provincial application that we've got to put in before that time, seeking some operating support. The province has done this in past, looking at rural transit, and trying to figure out how to make it sustainable over time, which again, for us, we've got an agency that's ready to deliver. We've got experience delivering in the townships. We've got Route 21 to Elmira, Route 77 out to Wilmot that are performing really well. So we've got some good examples. But really on this one, it's about the innovation and trying to get those on-demand vehicles figured out and the cost control and making sure that we're not putting something on the taxpayer of North Dumfries that isn't palatable.
Doug, you say on demand. Can you clearly explain what on demand is?
Absolutely. So an on-demand service, there is one that runs in the region now, Route 79, it runs out to the airport. The best way to think about it is the vehicle type is almost irrelevant. You would call a ride, you could do that by phone, you could do it on your phone electronically, and you'd request a ride, and that ride would look a lot like a door-to-door service. And so a vehicle would pull up outside your house, could be a cutaway bus, like a 20-footer, could be a sedan. It would pick you up, it would be a shared ride, it would take you where you're going for the GRT fare, which is if you're using cash, it's $4. If you're using electronic fare, it's $3. And if you're in any of the discounted programs, it would be less than that. So really what we're talking about is getting connectivity across North Dumfries and across the region really is what we're excited about. But you can imagine what a $3 fare means for somebody if the alternative is a taxi or an Uber or something.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, councillors? We look forward to seeing you in the fall then. And can I have a motion, please, Councillor Williams?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Foster, that the presentation from Doug Studer, Acting Commissioner of Transportation Services, and Kevin Marshall, Manager of Transit Development of the Region of Waterloo, regarding the Grand River Transit 10-year business plan be received with thanks.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And we have another motion, Councillor Oster, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Williams, the CAO report number 11-2025 be received for the purposes of information.
Did you do a report?
I don't think this is till 11/21, is it?
Which we brought forward and in with this presentation.
Okay, thank you. And that the presentation from Doug Spooner, Acting Commissioner, Transportation Services, and Kevin Marshall, Manager of Transit Development, Regional Waterloo, on the GRTA or GRT business plan be received with thanks, and the council would like a return presentation from Doug Spooner in the summer or early fall of 2025 on next steps and cost implications on the delivery of on-demand transit services for the township of North Dumfries for review and discussion, and that staff continue to work with GRT on a proposed on-demand transit service delivery model in advance of the presentation to council later this year.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night. Or you can stay, all the stuff is really long. We're not as long as regional council. So now I believe we're on the consent agenda. Anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? There was one thing I wanted to call correspondence from Champlain in regards to the heavy vehicles in Ontario, the monitoring of them. We've done that a couple of times, CEO, really, and was quite successful in doing several law. Correct? So that's what I'd like to bring forward, Council Wilms.
That's the one I've seen that.
So, do you want to create a motion of our own, CEO, meeting earlier, or we just piggyback on this, Jim?
Madam Mayor, council is inclined, you can just piggyback on the resolution from Champlain Township. Locally, we work through our traffic sergeant at WRPS and our rural sergeant to coordinate with the Ministry of Transportation to undertake truck blitzes. We have not had a formal dedicated day of truck blitzes in 2025. There have been vehicle inspections where they come across a specific vehicle and have pulled that vehicle over for inspection. But this is focusing really on those bigger, broader blitzes where they have multiple teams available to actually do a wide range of vehicles in a more encompassing fashion.
Councillors, are we in agreement that we would like to piggyback onto this motion, and the clerk so noted? And we will do as stated, we will send it to AMO and all the municipalities of our region, please. Councillor Wilms.
It sounds like we should amend that motion to send it to WRPS as well.
Yes, and WRPS, please. So if there's nothing else anyone wants to pull. Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Roman?
Moved by myself by Councillor Oster that the following reports as listed on the May 12th, 2025 consent agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. 10.1.1, report number FT 05-2025, the Fire Department Incident Response Summary, April 2025. 10.1.2, report number BLE 08-2025, fireworks set fines and bylaw follow-up. And that the following information items listed on the May 12th, 2025 consent agenda be received. I guess I'll skip the 10.2.1B, correspondence received from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation impact regarding 2024 annual report. And 10.22, advisory committees, Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated March 18th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. We're on 11. There's no items, this is going to be considered that report number CAO 11-2025 overview township strategy, transit strategy, Brandon Transit. Oh, it's already done, we've already used that for, okay? So then we are at 11.2.2. Proposed zoning bylaw amendment file number ZC 0720 and proposed draft plan of subdivision file number 30T 22.030342224 Cedar Creek Road. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Please come forward with your name. Thanks, Sam.
It's on.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, members of council, thanks for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. It's been a few years to get to this stage. I recall back in 2014, I did some pre-consultation with the region to designate this gravel pit for industrial lands. 2015, the region did change the designation to employment lands. Following that, in 2018, the township implemented the designation from the regional plan and brought it forward to the township plan and designated the property as prime industrial reserve. So in the 2 years from 2018 to 2020, we prepared a draft plan of subdivision and submitted that to the township in 2020. And in support of that draft plan, we provided environmental studies, species at risk studies, environmental impact statements, hydrogeo reports, salt management, transportation studies, noise studies, stormwater management studies, archaeological assessment. We found a little log cabin on the corner of the property, and we found we got some garbage left over and one small coin. That was $2,000 to do that. Grading, topography, site surveying, and a draft plan of subdivision. We've had ongoing discussions with the GRCA because of the little creek tributary that goes on through there. It's part of the Cedar Creek that goes down through there. So we had lots of time and studies with that. At the end of the day, we agreed to give the township 16 hectares of land to protect the environmental sensitivity of the area where the creek would be built under. And this then brings me to the staff report and the recommendations that are in the report. I've reviewed the report and the draft conditions with my clients, and we're in support of the recommendations from the staff and the proposed bylaw. I want to extend my thanks to Michael Campos, who is having a nice holiday someplace, and to Andrew for working with us in the region and the township and the GRC to get to this stage in the process. I'm here tonight to ask council to approve the draft plan subdivision with the conditions and the implementing bylaw. So hopefully after these many years, I can finally get this thing finalized, get the development started, and maybe get ahead of Trump and develop industries in the township. Take me less time.
Thank you, Sam.
Anyway, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, please? Councilor Rose.
Yes, that sounds like a long time to get this done, and thank you for doing all the environmental work there. I wasn't on the original thing, so I read through this. My big concern is with the left turning lane from Cedar Creek into the new proposed road. I'm not sure, I don't understand why it would be necessary, since Dumfries Road is right there within like 200 meters. And with the anticipated change of travel, and it's gonna get busier. I hope that indeed that there's a lot more employment and a lot more busyness there. And I am quite concerned that trucks turning left, whether it's from the new internal proposed road onto Cedar Creek, or turning left from Cedar Creek onto the new proposed road. I'm just concerned about the traffic there, and I'm not sure I understand why it would be necessary to do so if Dumfries Road is like within spitting distance.
I suspect the main traffic is going to come off the site and run to Cedar Creek Road. The region and the transportation experts and the engineers want us to put in an acceleration lane, which we're going to do at our cost, so that trucks out. Like we did for Unilock, this acceleration lane we put in there, it's the same kind of thing up here to ease the traffic in that site. I don't expect that the majority of the traffic will come off north or the side road. I think the most activity is going to be on the main road, because a lot of the traffic, I assume, will be going to the 401 and the right direction.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Yes, I have no concerns about the right turns, and I think you are absolutely correct. The majority of things will be going towards the 401. There will be also trucks or business coming from the 401 to that area. And I hope, and then those, again, I would rather not introduce more left turning lanes on Cedar Creek Road, because people do go fast, and there is a a viable solution right there already. And so there's already traffic lights right there. There's already left turning lanes right there. I'm not sure I understand what the need is for this, at this point.
CEO McNeely?
So Madam Mayor, through Councilor Williams, to what that Mr. Head has shared with you. The traffic consultants do trip assignment. And they try and show what they believe based on the nature of activities, the candidates for the site based on the conditions of zoning. As well as external opportunities such as the Cedar Creek interchange to the 401. And they have modeled a certain percentage of trips coming to or going from the interchange to the site. Based on the existing traffic volume, but what they call flow through, in other words, it's not going into the site, but will continue past, and they're going east or west of the site. Traffic queue stopping to wait for a gap in the Cedar Creek traffic. If there isn't a dedicated left, trying to enter into the subdivision will actually create a potential hazard where vehicles will try and do a slip around onto the ground shoulder, which could create a dangerous condition. They're also of the opinion that because this is a full movement internal road, both on Dumfries and on Cedar Creek, a driver will take the shortest path of travel. So if they come along Cedar Creek from the 401 interchange and they present with that internal access drive, they will turn into it. They're not going to go the extra distance to the intersection and then travel north to the Dumfries entrance and then enter into the subdivision there. Most behavior of drivers is to take the shortest traveled path. And in this case, a substantial portion of the traffic will be along the Cedar Creek corridor. Hence why they believe that the left turn lane is required based on traffic volumes of today and what's being modeled in the future as more traffic utilize the east-west alignment of Cedar Creek Road.
Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Perhaps I'm unclear. I think there should be like a buffer so that there can be no left turns and that trucks are directed to use the existing turn. So there would be something in the middle of the road that would make sure that people cannot do that left turn, because I agree. If it's gonna be a left turn, we have to have a left turn lane. But I would prefer that we just direct traffic to Dumfries Road where we have a proper intersection that's managed. And I think that this is also based on my experience of what I've seen and on other highways as well in the area, that traffic is moving. There's a lot of community commute traffic as well and slow traffic, and you would end up having, there's basically now two within just a very short distance, and I'm not sure I understand why that's necessary, and why we can't just put a buffer between and have people safely use the controlled intersection.
CEO McNeely?
So Madam Mayor, the traffic reports and the peer reviews that were done by both regional staff understanding that it's a regional road, as well as the township's transportation consultant from Burnside does support the premise of two full movement intersections onto Dumfries and Cedar Creek Road. They believe that's an efficient way of dispersing traffic volumes. If we were to regulate the design of the Cedar Creek entrance so that it was only an enter in or exit from, then we would actually have to build a raised center median, literally from Dumfries Road across almost the majority of the frontage of the property, past the intersection, what was for this internal street, so that traffic couldn't force their way, for their term, to make that left turn lane because we haven't provided the associated infrastructure. That then would have implications potentially on the left turn lane at Dumfries Road at the traffic light, because now you might actually have to put more storage for that left turn lane. So then we would have to potentially look at, the region would have to look at extending the current left turn lane at Dumfries Road to make the northbound movement. And conversely, the modeling is only anticipate a certain amount of trips off at Dumfries going into the site. Potentially, it would trigger an expansion of those turn lanes to account for larger, higher percentage equipment. All three traffic firms felt the current configuration is the most appropriate. Recognizing that generally speaking, the majority of traffic will be conveying east-west along Cedar Creek, largely motivated by trying to enter onto or exit off of Cedar Creek Fall change. And we're talking about significant capital investment external to subdivision to force all that traffic up Dumfries Road to the northern of the two internal access intersections as proposed in this draft plan. And I don't know what the order of extent is. We have to go back and have that discussion with the region. Obviously, the owner would have to weigh in with their team. But it would actually have to be built in as a condition to draft approval. Right now, technical work that's been done doesn't support that kind of redirection from.
Councilors, any other questions? Anybody else from the public wish to speak on this? Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Tilly?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Osmer, that report number PD 27-2025 be received, and the Township Council approves the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to amend the zoning of subject lands from zone Z14 mineral aggregates and Z1 agricultural to zone Z9 industrial subject to site-specific bylaw exemption 20.1.339 and that Z.12A environmental production 1. And the Township Council approved the conditions of draft approval for the associated plan of subdivision attached to this report as attachment 2 to facilitate the future development of plan of subdivision 30T-20 there's a 20303 for a mix and range of industrial uses. And the Township Council is satisfied with the requirements for a public meeting in accordance with subsection 3417 with the Planning Act to have been met, and further that bylaw number 3561-25 being a bylaw to amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83 with site-specific zoning provisions to permit the development of an industrial subdivision on the subject property be enacted.
Thank you. Before you vote, I'd just like to note that when Mr. Head listed all those studies that had to be done, that is to protect us and the environment on which we live, and we appreciate that they are done and that they're part of the policy. So all those in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Sam. Next is 11.2.3, report number BLE 07-2025, noise exemption request 158 Mitchell Street there. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, any members of council have any questions or comments? Councilor Woolman.
Madam Mayor, I'm just through the staff. I'm just curious why the event is ending at midnight instead of ending at 11 o'clock, because I read the letter from Hammy that said that the amplified music starts at 8, will go for a couple hours, that's 10 o'clock. Then they said they wanted another hour afterwards, so that's 11 o'clock. I'm just not sure how we got from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I sort of thought sort of general agreed upon sort of agreement amongst neighbors that things wind down at 11 o'clock. So I'm just curious why we're going the extra hour.
Did anybody answer that question? CEO McMahon.
So, Madam Mayor, when I'm reading the attachment, the email correspondence from Mrs. Hanley asking for the exemption. She says that the music will start at 7. Play for a couple hours, and they'll be finished at 11. So the actual amplified music would wind down at 11, and then there was the hour or so where there'd still be outside activities. And that's why the 11:59. So the actual contract with the band terminates at 11 o'clock. But there will still be an outside party as people wind down.
Councilor Ashton.
I also suspect that that might have something to do with the issue they had with the neighbors, so they may want a little buffer zone. You know, music stops at 11 o'clock. I don't think they wanted to have any issues with neighbors. saying, okay, 11 o'clock, they were still sitting in the backyard talking loudly. So I haven't talked to the Hanleys, but I'm suspecting that that might be a big issue to just have that buffer.
Many years ago, I had a 35th anniversary party in my backyard. The music ended at 11. But the people were still there to socialize or whatever, and you had a group of people talking, and so that's exactly what we did. So it was exactly the same thing. Music shut off at 11, but it took an hour to wind down. See you McMillan.
So, Madam Mayor, I also want to go once again, going back to Mrs. Hanley's email, and ask of the noise exemption. It says, okay, it says the band, 11 o'clock. It says before and after he plays, you'll be playing music at a reasonable volume for that time of the evening through a Bluetooth speaker. So as they're winding down, there still could be some form of amplified sound along with people continue to congregate. I'm assuming a large number of people, and so that by itself creates a certain amount of noise. And hence why the 11:59 threshold.
I see no further questions. Can I have a motion, please, Councilor Williams?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that report number BLE-07-2025 be received, and that council grant an exemption from the noise bylaw number 3421-23 on Friday, July 4, 2025, from 7 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. for the purpose of a backyard retirement party to be held at the property located at 158 Mitchell Street here.
All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Next, we have report number Rec 16-2025, Pro Shop Retail Services Lease Extension of the North Dumfries Community Complex. Would any member of the public like to speak on this? Come to the short cabinet, just name and go ahead.
Madam Mayor and Council, I would like to represent the Air Centennials on this matter. And the Air Centennials are very interested in putting in a tender for the Pro Shop space for the upcoming season. So if you're considering renewing a lease, we would like to be part of that consideration.
Thank you. Any questions, councilors? Anyone else from the public? Councilor Austin.
I appreciate the Centennials wanting to move forward. That looking at the previous vendor or current vendor that's there. It seems like everybody's kind of happy with what they've been providing, what they've been doing. So that was kind of where the staff report was going. So I don't really know how, like, what the business plan is really of the Centennials to cover what the current vendor is doing, but it seems like we've had struggles having vendors in there. It seems like now that we've got a vendor and a good vendor in there, I'm a little worried to kind of move them on because somebody else wants a kick at it.
I understand that. I have heard differently within the community, the hockey community. We've had the Air Centennials have had people, full teams, people from out of town come to us asking us to help them with, services that they've received there. I'm thinking that we were associated with it, and I think there might be an opportunity to dig a little deeper on services. The other thing, the plan, the business plan, I don't have a business plan in front of me now to present to you. But I can put one together if you need it. But it would be working with both the Air Minor Hockey, the Rockets, and anybody else who would like to also, sell their swag in that facility. So it would benefit not just the Air Centennials.
I have no problem with putting it out to tender again, because again, the original group can apply as well as, and the best tender wins. Councillor Austin.
To you to CO McNeely, can you refresh my memory? Did this go out to tender? Did the Centennials or any other organization have a chance to put the business plan forward to run the service?
Madam Mayor, through Councillor Austin. There was an initial posting of the ability to operate a pro shop. Once the township staff moved out of the space, because you gotta remember, up until December of 23, we actually occupied what is today the pro shop. So after we vacated that space, there was an RFP, there were no bids at the time. And we brought a report to council to close out that bid document because there were no bids. A couple months later, NDF Industries did approach the township. And we brought a report to council saying we had not received any bids. We had just been in the marketplace. This firm is expressing an interest to operate a pro shop. It's generally in alignment with what we had originally had in our bid document in terms of hours of service over multiple days. And council agreed that we would do it on a 1-year project, which basically is coming to this period of time with the ability of either party to signal an interest in a renewal, and both parties had to agree on the renewal and extension, and it could be extended upwards of 2 years. So that's why we are here today. The current vendor asked to have the lease extended, and we need direction from township council into the contract with the municipality as to whether or not to renew the lease under the terms of the original agreement, or to go back into the marketplace. So we've identified that Centennials have notified us prior to the finalization of this report that they would like to be considered if it went to the marketplace. And those are the options in front of township council.
Councillor Austin.
So are there any legal ramifications of the previous lease as to a renewal clause of the current vendor, or can they be eliminate, like, can they be moved on and have somebody else come in and provide the exact same services? Because I know sometimes with the business buildings, if you have X amount of years lease and you have the first option on lease of service before you can say, hey, you know what, we found someone else, thanks, but no thanks.
So page 139 on your agenda package. So I'm in the middle of under the top portion of page 2 of the staff report 16/2025. You will see under clause 1B, it talks about that the current lease was for the time period of November 2024 through to April 30th, 2025. So that created the 1-year period that was consistent with council's agreement. Then we go to clause C, which is right below it. And it basically says that the landlord grants to the tenant the right to extend the term upon expiration of the initial term for 2 years. Subject to the approval by the landlord in their sole and absolute discretion. And we needed to have that writing from the vendor that they wish the extension. So council has the ability, this is where we are right now, council has the ability to either extend for 2 years or to go back into the marketplace and seek competitive bids.
Councillor Austin.
So if we go into the marketplace to accept bids, it becomes, like you said, an RFP. And what are the MDF and the Centennials would both put forward a business plan, or
They would have to put a bid in and they'd have to answer the RFP and the questions on the RFP. And it may be more, you don't know, we might get others, who knows? CO McNeely and then Councillor Austin.
So Madam Mayor, back to Councillor Austin, the original question. So it will be in the form of a published request for proposal. So it would outline what the expectations of the corporation are. And if I sort of go back to the original RFP, the marketplace over a year ago. It would outline what we're willing to provide, what the vendor has to bring to the table. For example, we don't have a shark, so we don't list that as a chapel that's available. The intent is they bring their own piece of appropriate equipment, as an example. It would outline our expectations in terms of frequency of service over multiple days. And all those things are articulated. There is a scoring matrix as part of the published document. And as bids are received, they will be screened against the compliance with specifications or expectations of the RFP. And will be scored accordingly. And then Township Council would receive a staff report with a recommendation on the award of the appropriate vendor. The terms of what that contract would look like.
Councillor Austin.
I'm just gonna read part of the report. I don't know if you've read this, but this is part of the staff report that says. The current pro shop operator has consistently demonstrated a high level of service, maintaining reliable operating hours and offering quality retail products. They have shown strong collaboration with township staff, particularly in support of special events, tournaments, and regulatory inspections. This ongoing partnership has contributed positively to the user experience at the NDCC. I mean, I'd love to support the Centennials. But it doesn't feel right to kick them out because the Centennials decided they want services.
Councillor Tilly.
Sorry. I think this is gonna add on to what Bosner is trying to, so my issue is this ethically. If I read the lease term for the current tenant or the current leasee. Then it says the tenant grants the tenant the right to extend the term upon expiration, additional term for 2 years. So what we've said is to them, if you rent this from us or you lease this from us, we're allowing you to extend it if you wish for 2 additional years. And as much as I'd love to put this out and give an opportunity for everybody else to get involved, I think ethically, the fact that we worded it in a way that we're allowing them the option to extend it, but to retract that and say that they're no longer and they have to go to RFP. I think that's my issue. So unless something is clarified that way, that's the only reason why I would say that, because if you were in the same situation and we all of a sudden decided, you know, you've invested, you got infrastructure, you got this all set up as a business plan, and then all of a sudden we're telling you, no, we're gonna let some other people come in. It's just fair practice. So that's my, so unless something is like a different way, that's where I'm at. So I'm not.
Councillor Austin.
And the other thing, I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot if we put an RFP out there and we start driving up bids to pay more for rent or to say we want more of this, we want more of that. We've run into problems with vending at the NDCC before where there's been too many promises and the services like vendors have come in and out because they can't provide the service, they don't have the staff. So I'm just afraid if we put an RFP out there and say, you know, put your best foot forward. You know, we might be putting too much of a strain on either or any of them that come in financially and staff wise. To me, I'd love to support the Centennials in a heartbeat. And if they wanted to do it and we did, we weren't in this situation where we gave this person a shot with the fact that if they're going to be good, they're going to be reliable. And I don't know the hockey world. I haven't heard anything about it. I'm going by staff report. And I don't feel right. Just, you know, they lived up to their end of the bargain. Now we're going to kick them out. Maybe this, I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
this should have
go ahead.
gone to an RFP in the beginning.
Kathy, do you want to speak?
I don't understand where the staff report comes from, but we've been in the facility when posted hours are open and they have not been in the building. They are not there. People have come up And they come to the Centennials and they ask, can we get our skate sharpening with you? They're supposed to be open, they're not there. And we turned them down because we were told we weren't allowed to do that. We've also been, the only time we have been sharpening skates is when they've come and said we've had them sharpened there. They are no longer useful to us. You can't stand up on the ice. Can you fix them? So I would challenge the staff report because it was not moved.
Councillor Austin.
Through you to Karen, can we have your comments on this, Karen? Like as council, and you know, I don't have small children anymore, so I'm not at the arena on a regular basis like I used to be. I live there, but can you comment on this? Because we, like I said, I'm reading staff reports and I'm hearing different. So can you comment, please?
Yes, certainly. Through the mayor to Councillor Austin, there was some initial issues in the beginning, as they were trying to figure out their staff hours. You know, they had hired some students to be able to run it. There was some issues, health issues, I believe, so the post shop was not open during all advertised hours for sure. But I believe that was just in the beginning. And then the same with the skate sharpening. They sharpen a little bit differently, as to my understanding, from what the Suns do. They try and do it based on what position the player is, what age group they are. So they sharpen them a little bit differently. There had been some concerns over how the skates were sharpened. When given the opportunity, they did fix them. And to my understanding, they were fine. I would suggest that probably after January, I heard no further complaints from any customers or anything, because they were coming through us. I didn't hear anything further. We worked collaboratively with them. They've reached out, they've done some stuff with skatings. They had a meeting with the Suns to offer their support as well. So I know that they're trying to gain more traction, and I felt that from that point, after they kind of settled down, things were really well.
So, yeah, and the complaints had run into January, and just as you said, Karen, and they were not open certain hours and such, and people's skates were damaged, but so, yeah, you know what, I still would like to see it go to tender for both of them. I don't see a problem with that. It's a open policy. Our contract is written that it would allow for that. But it's council's decision, so do what your heart thinks, what you think is the right thing. So the motion, Councilor Tony.
I just want to clarify. In this staff, it's just reading the police term and reading C. Is it 100% open where it says the landlord grants the tenant the right to extend the term upon the expiration of the initial term? So are we not allowing them to do that if it's stated in the contract that they can? That's all I need clarification on.
See you on the.
So now you're gonna read the fullness of paragraph C underneath term. Says, the landlord grants to the tenant the right to extend the term upon the expiration of the initial term for 2 years. Subject to approval by the landlord in their sole and absolute discretion. So this is where council has the ability. You don't have to give a reason. It's in your sole and absolute discretion as to whether or not you wish to extend or to go to the marketplace. We have to come to council for that direction. It's not a staff delegated aspect, because this is a contract with the corporation. And so this report is in front of council to ask, do you wish to go to the marketplace seeking competitive bids? Start up operations in the after the 25-26 winter season? Or do you wish to renew the contract? If you renew, it's for a 2-year period.
And that would be not taken into account. Councilor Rossman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I still maintain that, as Councilor Kelly said, ethically, I don't think this is, at this point right now, the right thing to do. And I would be fully supportive at the end of this extension for it to go to an RFP rather than go to another extension. And at that point, we issue the RFP.
There's no further questions. Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Austin?
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that council receive rec report number 16-2025, and that council approve the extension of the lease agreement for Pro Shop retail services at the North Dumfries Community Complex for the 25-26, 26-27 arena seasons to MDF Industry Inc., subject to any minor revisions as may be required by the township solicitor and or the administrative officer. And that the mayor clerk be authorized to execute the agreement with MDF Industries Inc. for the extension of Pro Shop retail services at the North Dumfries Community Complex, the 2025, 26 and 2026, 27 arena seasons.
Point of order, can the chair ask for a recorded vote? Clerk, can the chair ask for a recorded vote? Procedural bylaw. Pull out that procedural bylaw.
I'm just clarifying that.
Madam Mayor, can I ask?
Go ahead, Councillor Austin.
Would it be possible to change the lease agreement to include just the 25-26 rather than the 25-26, 26-27? Make it a 1-year lease instead of 2, for example.
I don't know if we have the ability to do that because the renewal mechanism talks for 2 years. So I don't know whether unilateral or we could alter that. What had been previously published, but use the word informed, but then they're seeking the renewal extension.
I'm asking for a recorded vote, please. Councillor Austin, would you read the motion? Did you read the motion?
I read the motion.
So recorded vote, please. Okay. Let's start with. I will start with Councillor Chili. You also.
Thank you. So.
How do you vote on the motion?
Is it yay or nay? Is that how, okay, so extension, so that would be a yay.
So in
A
favor?
yes. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yes.
Councillor Williams?
In favor?
Councillor Osner?
In favor.
Councillor Rowland?
In favor.
And Mayor Foxton? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is 11.2.4, report number rec 16/2020, oh no, wrong one. 7.17, 2025, North Dumfries Community Complex Fundraising Feasibility Study, ND 2025-B27 RFP. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, any questions from members of council? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to staff. I was not totally sure what the implications were for the fundraising committee that we were setting up. Would this mean that there's now no consultant services at all and it's all on the fundraising committee shoulders? That's just my question.
CEO McMillan.
So Madam Mayor, the steering committee that has been appointed at a council committee meeting 2 or 3 sessions ago was for phase 1, which was to work with the consultant to assist the consultant develop the parameters and to make introductions to key business leaders or influential representatives of the township so that the consultant could then interview and ask some questions that would inform that future. So if the council decides not to pursue this study and there continues to be a fundraising component, then we would go back to the committee and say, okay, we're no longer having this consultant undertake this analysis. Here's what council's objective is to bridge the divide, to raise the funds. And how would you recommend to council that it try and make the difference in terms of whatever the CCG currently holds and has committed to the Twin Pad project versus whatever the threshold is that council ultimately decides to be funded for the fundraising donation component.
Yes, Councillor Tilly.
So. My understanding is that we, of course, have listened to CCG, give us some advice on fundraising for this project, and I've had some additional conversations with them, just trying to understand for myself exactly what the process is, not being involved in one before. And my understanding is although there's a cost to this and it's significant, that the support that these groups give, not necessarily the higher cost ones, but these groups that give you an understanding of what sort of giving level each of the groups can give, and that gives them, and even referring to both Russ and Mike, they're like, well, we don't know how much each group would give without these kind of suggestions. So they did it, and that was a good suggestion. I'm not necessarily in favor of going with this cost factor at this point, but because it doesn't seem to be riding where it should be. But since this is going to be an ongoing process, since this is going to be something that's going to take time, even in the building process, and listening to what Mike Play said at the last meeting, that, you know, there's opportunities when it comes to naming rights, there's opportunities when it comes to even just further down where the community does get involved. Although I do believe that what the CAO is saying is that maybe once people start seeing the train is running, they might just let it keep going with the engine it has. But I think there's members of the community that could do it. So I'm kind of, what I'm trying to say is I see the value in the study, but maybe not this one, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Roman.
Madam Mayor, further to Councillor Tilly's comments. When I was involved with the CCG years ago with fundraising committee, I've been on the Family Counseling Center committee, I've been on various committees doing fundraising. It's all the same template. You know, you sit down as a group, you basically brainstorm different categories of different levels of fundraising commitments, who the community you think would be supporting you. Same thing Jared's doing with his pump track. It's the exact same strategy. So I don't really think at this point, with the experience that we all have, and all the members of the CCG have, that we really need to have this consultants charges of money. I think we're quite capable of doing it. I hope without paying additional money.
Councillor Ross.
And also just to add on to that, originally with CCG, they had this done originally, so you know, maybe some of that knowledge is already under their hats and they can guide us on the committee to maybe, you know, get the grassroots going, and then we can go from there.
And originally the consultant told them that, you know, they could raise, and they went way beyond that. So did they really need consultant? Anyway, so can I have the motion, please, Councillor Roman?
Moved by myself, so by Councillor Wilms, that report number 17-2025 be received, and that council close request for proposal document ND 2025 B27 RFP NDCC fundraising feasibility study, that staff be directed to reassess the scope and approach for future consideration by council.
What number is that? Okay. Okay. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, so the next is North Dumfries Community Contract Showcase event. Okay, and questions, comments? Seeing none, motion please, Councillor Tilly. Oh, I didn't have my mic on. Motion please, Councillor Tilly.
Great, thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Roman, that report number 18-2025 be received, and the council approve the reallocation of the 2025 Movies in the Park program budget to support a new special event, North Dumfries Community Showcase, to be held on Saturday, September 13th, 2025, and that staff be directed to proceed with the planning and promotion of the event through the Leisure and Community Service Department.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Good thinking there, Karen. It sounds really fun. What about bad weather?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's no correspondence, mayors and councilors report item, Council Tilly has, well, there's two of them here. Just the one. Gentlemen, thank you. If you do get coffee, I'll have peppermint tea. Just for the sweetener.
Great.
I'm just going through this, okay, so, Councilor Tilly is bringing forward, I'm just gonna read it. Mayor and council reports, items we amended to add a new resolution from Councilor Tilly concerning the Air Community Center, ACC, and funding related to the NDCC Twin Pad project. Could you read the motion, please, Councilor Tilly, that you're bringing forward?
Absolutely.
Do you have the motion? Okay.
The motion is moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Williams. That council provide direction that the sale of the Air Community Center, ACC, 7 Church Street Air will not be considered in any form as a potential source of funding to undertake the completion of the NDCC Twin Pad project. And that council provide direction to the treasurers that the funds and reserves set aside for the purpose of the major exterior rehabilitation of the ACC in the 2025-2026 10-year capital forecast, which is 2025 to 2034, will not be utilized or reallocated, as a potential source of funding to undertake the completion of the NDCC Twin Pad project, and that the completion of the major exterior rehabilitation be shifted to the 2027-2028 time period. And that for the purposes of clarity and certainty, the Air Community Center is and will continue to be an important strategic building in the township inventory to support valued community programming and opportunities.
Okay, so can you go into details about what that middle paragraph is stating? So it says the ACC in the 2025-2026 10-year capital forecast will not be utilized or reallocated as a potential source of funding to undertake the completion of it. So what you're saying is we will carry forward in the 10-year capital forecast everything that's allocated for the ACC. So what you're saying is we're not doing it from that.
No. So this is saying that the funding that is currently in the ACC and any of the reserves that are set aside for the ACC rehabilitation would not be considered part of the NDC Twin Pad project. That they'd still sit in there as it currently sits, and that we would, so which I believe if the CAO could confirm, I believe it's around the price or the dollar amount of about $600,000 that's currently sitting in the reserve amounts, dollar value, sorry, currently sitting in the reserves, okay. But I do understand, sorry, okay, so I'm checking some numbers in my head, but so the point is that the money that is sitting in the NDCC, the money that's sitting in the ACC for the repairs would stay there, and then that would not be part of the funding model for the NDCC.
CEO McNally, name out, please.
So Madam Mayor, set aside in 25 and 2026. Rounded is approximately $3.4 million. And then the sale of the land net. was $1 million. And so the resolution read out by the councillor breaks it into two distinct items. The sale of the land and not the sale of the land, and it would never be used to fund the Twin Pad project. The second component talks about the continuation of monies that are currently in the forecast for the major exterior rehabilitation would remain in reserves, would not be applied to the NDCC Twin Pad project. And he's proposing an alternate timeline to undertake the rehab work to the exterior of the ACC, and he's suggesting that be pushed out to 27 time period.
Council Williams.
So the ACC has needed some rehabilitation for quite some time. For 3 years.
One moment, please. CEO McNally.
can't talk about the resolution, because it hasn't been moved and seconded to put onto the floor. Okay,
No, I asked if we need to talk, no discussion.
so we actually have to have it on the floor, that the mover and seconder are agreeable. Then we can talk about the motion itself.
So, Councillor Tilly, the motion, please.
Just right, okay, sure. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Wilms, that council provide the direction that the sale of the Air Community Center, ACC, 7 Church Street Air, will not be considered in any form as a potential source of funding to undertake the completion of the NDCC Twin Pad project, and that council provide the direction to the treasurer that the funds in the reserve set aside for the purposes of the major exterior rehabilitation of the ACC in the 2025-2026 10-year capital forecast from 2025 to 2034 will not be utilized or reallocated as the potential source of funding to undertake the completion of the NDCC Twin Pad project, and that the completion of the major exterior rehabilitation be shifted to the 2027-2028 time period. And that for the purposes of clarity and certainty, the Air Community Center is and will continue to be an important strategic building in the township's inventory to support value community programming opportunities.
I am gonna ask that we consider it. Well, I think a lot of people are coming next week on both sides and they like to hear this. And I think this is unfair to do this without them here. And that's the only reason I think we should be doing this publicly. And this is not, we told everybody next week, the 26th. We told everybody the 26th or whatever.
Just 2 weeks from
Right.
tonight.
And to do this without them here, to hear this, I don't think is fair.
Mm.
I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I think it should be deferred. Anyway, any other comments? Councillor Rose.
I'm not opposed to the deferral. I'm happy that Councillor Tilly brought this forward because I think that there is a lot of community sentiment that likes to see this. But if Councillor Tilly, if it's up to you, it's in your.
I agree to defer based on that point that Amanda brought up.
Okay, and I will now call for those in favor.
Sorry.
In favor, those opposed, those wishing to defer. It will be deferred, thank you. So deferred to the 2026 meeting. Thank you, so directed to Sal. And I guess they didn't have to go get coffee. Or tea. Yeah. Gentlemen, the vote was deferred to the 2026 meeting.
May
Uh,
27th.
May 2026.
Right before the vote, buddy.
The election.
May 2026, okay. All right, we're back on to, Mr. Williams, bylaw, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Oxnard, that the following bylaws be read a first and second time. 17.1, number 3561-25, being a bylaw to amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83, with site-specific zoning provisions to permit the development of an industrial subdivision on the subject property. 17.2, bylaw number 3562-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 3325-22, being a bylaw to prohibit the sale and use of firecrackers and to regulate the sale and use of fireworks. 17.3, bylaw number 3563-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on May 12, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Councillor Austin, the next motion, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Wilms, that bylaws number 3561-25, 3562-25, and 3563-25 be read a third and final time and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And the adjournment, Councillor Overman, please.
Myself, by Councillor Tilly, that whereas business before this company has been concluded at 7:19 PM and be resolved that we meet again.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.